Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we're continuing this series we've got going, which has been absolutely brilliant for me, of revisiting, well, visiting for the first time, puzzles we really should have solved when they were originally released. Now this one is more recent than some of them. It's by Joseph Namer, and it's called It's Getting Hot in Here, and it's just a standard thermometer puzzle apparently. But it's been absolutely lauded over on Logic Masters Germany. It's got quite a lot of solves and is very, very highly rated. So I'm going to give it a go and see how it looks. And also, by the way, tell you that if you do enjoy thermometer Sudoku, we have a whole app full of these, which is very popular. So do have a look at that. Now, what are the rules of Thermo Sudoku? Incredibly straightforward, basically. It's normal Sudoku rules, but then along the thermometers, you can see we've got, I don't know how many, is that 6 or 7? 7 thermometers in the grid. You basically have to increase from the bulb end. So whatever digit you put in the bulb, let's make this square 2. This square has to be more than 2, so it's like the mercury is rising up the thermometer. So that could be 4, it doesn't have to be 3, so you don't have to go up in steps of 1, you can go up in any number of steps. And then that could be 6, 7, 8, 9, for example. That would actually work as a thermometer. So do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And I suspect we are going to have to focus on the long thermometers. Mark would instantly pencil mark all of the options in for these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are they all 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Yes, they are. So they're all 6 cells long. So 1, 2, 3. So they've got 3 degrees of freedom, depending on how you view degrees of freedom. Basically, each digit along the thermometer has 4 different options, because this could actually be as high as 4. Because 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wouldn't break the thermometer. So I am definitely not penciling that. I am prepared to pencil mark it later if we get stuck, but not immediately. So the first thing I'm now thinking about is 1s and 9s, because 1s and 9s are the most restricted digits so far as thermometers are concerned, in the sense that they can only go in exactly one position on a thermometer. So a 1 can only ever go in the bulb, a 9 can only ever go in the end. And sometimes, although I'm not seeing it here, you can use that to limit things. No, I'm not seeing much at all there. What I am noticing, though, is that this thermometer's geometry is interesting. So those 3 squares... Actually, yeah, this column is interesting. These 3 squares here, where do those 3 squares go in box 9? Well, the answer, I think, is they have to go in those squares. Because whatever these 3 squares are by Sudoku, let's just focus on this one, it definitely can't go in those cells. They're in the same column. And it can't go on these 3 cells because these are on the same thermometer, and every cell on a thermometer must be different. So this cell must find a home in one of those 3 squares, and the same is obviously true for those 2 squares as well. So actually we can do that, and therefore thinking the same way about this strip of 3 cells, where does that go in box 6? It's got to go there now by Sudoku, which means we actually get to sort of, I think some people call this roping. We get to rope and make sort of Neapolitan ice cream out of columns 7, 8 and 9. So now we might be able to actually do some logic. Let's think about this. So whatever goes into those 2 squares can't be that high. That's what we can conclude from that. Yeah, you can't have 7 in either of them. Maybe that's not that good, actually. You can't have 7 in either of those cells, because that would imply one of these squares was a 7, and we know that's impossible because the highest this one can be is 6, given it's a 6-cell thermo. Okay, that we might have to come back to this. I can't see anything instant there, so let's have a look at this one maybe. We've got This one's not so good, I don't think, because I can't do the same sort of technique here. These 3 digits, obviously they can't go in on their thermometer, so these 3 can't go in those 3 squares, or those by Sudoku, but they actually have 4 cells they can go into. Now, if they were all down there, I see. That would mean one would be in each of these positions. So one of these squares would have to be green. 1, 2, 3. No, that's still not good enough. Oh, okay. Sorry about this. This is not going very well. Let's try this one. Yeah, okay. This is slightly stranger. It's less clear than that one, at least to me, but it's the same effect. Because where do those 3 squares go in box 4? Well, the answer is they don't go in those 3. They don't go on their own thermometer, so they must go in that little triumvirate there. Now we'll use red this time. Yeah. A short stubby thermometer is the most useless kind. This is what I think of as a disambiguating thermometer. It's probably something Joseph's had to include right at the very end to disambiguate some final form of the puzzle. So I doubt this is key. Now those 3 squares are a little bit interesting. We haven't really got a clue about where they go in box 7, but we can say that they must be in those 6 cells. So these 3 squares, yeah, okay. Well, the simple way of thinking about it is, where do these 3 squares go in column 1? Because they're not there, they must be here. So those squares are mirrors of one another. What digit? Yellow. I can use yellow and that'll be fairly distinct, I think. Right, now one of those has to be at least a 6. That's it. Beautiful. Right, now we've got the break in. This square has to be at least a 6 because of this thermometer, but it can't ever be greater than 6, because if I make any single one of those cells greater than 6, this part of the thermometer is impossible. So, for example, if this square is 7, 8, 9, this would have to be 10. So, in fact, that has to be 6, and so does that, I think is what we learn from this. And that's beautiful. That's going to do loads of damage, because now, as this cannot be higher than 6, that whole thermometer is now forced. And as this is a 6, the top of this thermometer is forced. This is lovely. Look, now we get a 7, 8, 9 triple. And what else do we get? I feel we're going to get quite a lot from this. We've got hang on a moment. That cell's maybe become interesting. Not because I can say it's 6, I don't know what it is, but I do know it's not 7, 8 or 9. So the maximum it can now be is 6, 5, 4, 3. But that cell can't be a 1. So this thermometer is quite constrained. That square has to be a maximum of 6, 5, 4, 3, but look, this square can only be 1 lower, so the whole of this thermometer is restricted to just one of 2 options, which we can nearly do stuff with, but not quite. Now, sorry about this, I'm sure that we've got some more work we can do. We've got to put 3s and 2s in those squares. So there's 2s and 3s in those squares. Do we know that? Yes, look at this. We know purple cannot be a 2 and a 3, because purple, the minimum value of this digit is 4, if that was 1, 2, 3. So that is not possible, which now means we've got a 2, 3 pair in box 3 out of nowhere, which means the rest of these squares are 7, 8 and 9. Now let's check. Oh, that's not very helpful. So we now know that purple square is 7, 8 or 9, which is exactly what we'd expect. Okay. So, sorry about this. There must be something more. I feel it's probably going to be to do with this one. Unless it's these two. Does it matter this can't be 1? Ah, yeah, it might do actually. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the value of those 2 squares. Now, if the value of these 2 squares is in any way high, I have to put a relatively high digit on this thermo, and that's going to force up this triple. So there might be a restriction here. We've got, you can't put 2, 3 in there, look, because that will break that square. So the minimum, one of these digits has to be at least 4. Which means one of these digits has to be at least 5. That's almost absolutely beautiful, isn't it? It's still going to be worth pencil marking, I think, because if we know, if this was the 4, for example, we would go 5, 6, and then we know this square would have to be 6, because we couldn't put 6 in either of those other 2 green ones, because then we go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But I think it's possible that this is 4. Because it can be, and then that would push this square only up as high as 5. So I think we have to have a 5 in that string of digits at least, which means this square is now suddenly a 7. This is very clever, it really is. So let's do this slowly. Let's try and think about what's the absolute minimum we can put there. It's 2, 3 and 4 to make a 2, 3, 4 triple. You can see therefore one of those squares is a 4. This is if we're going for that bare minimum. Now if we try and keep these squares down as much as we can, we have to make this the 4, which makes this the 5. Once you get a green 5, you have to put a green 5 in this string of digits here. So where are we going to put that green 5? One option is here. It can never be here. So if we put it here, we go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But if we put it here, actually it's the same, because this square can't be a 6 because of that one. So I think this triple is a 7, 8, 9 triple, however this unwinds, and we can therefore fill it in. It must look like that, which means this is a 7, 8, 9 triple. This is a 7, 8, 9 triple. We can do some damage with the... yeah, look, 9 comes over here, rules itself out of those squares. That becomes a 9. So, and now look where 9 goes in box 1. It cannot go on the bulb of a thermo without making this 10, so 9 goes at the top of the grid. That's not 9. Beautiful. This is just beautiful logic. It's not mind-bogglingly complicated so far, but it is just gorgeous. What's this square? And the answer is we don't know. But we know that whatever it is, where does it go in box 1? It's going to have to be there, because this is a 7 or an 8. There's a 7 or an 8 in those 2 squares. Therefore, there's a 7 or an 8 in one of those 3 squares. It most certainly can't be 5 or 9, because here is a knowledge bomb. 7 and 8 is not the same digit as 5 and 9, so it goes there. So that is a 7 and 8, and it's red, therefore. And it's on the thermo. So now I maligned this thermo a bit unfairly, because I said it was probably going to be used at the end to disambiguate, but now I can actually use it to disambiguate the 7 and the 8, because obviously the 7 has to be lower. So all of those go in. 8 must be... Oh, is this a 2, 3? Yes, this is a 2, 3 pair now. Right, let's record that, because that allows us to place 8 at the top, which gives us a 7 over here, which places 1 in the top left. Now we can't put 1 partially along a thermo, so we get a 1 in green. Now this string has to contain a green, so the 1 must go in the bulb. Alright, come on. I feel like we're doing okay now. Yes, 1 has to be in yellow, so 1 has to be in one of those squares, must be in the bulb. Where does 1 go in box 6? Got to go there, because it can't go on a thermo unless it's in the bulb. So 1 goes in one of those squares. Now hang on, we can do more with green, can't we? This cell is in green and it's 2 or 3, but we know whichever one of these has a 4 on its bulb here, it's definitely at least 5. So the 2, 3 must go here, and we don't know which one of these is the key digit, but we do know that this is going to mirror one of those 2 squares. So there must be a 2, 3 on one of these bulbs. Whoa! So now this is still, yeah, it's still giving, isn't it? If there's a 2 or a 3 in green, and there is, it can't go there. Because if this is a 2 or a 3, you've got to go 3, 2, 1, which you can't go. So the 2, 3 goes here. This square now has to be lower than 2, 3. So it has to be 2. Because whichever one, we can't put 2 here, that would have to be 1, which it can't be. This is just, it's lovely. It really is lovely. Now we don't know this is 4. I think it still has the capability of being 5. But, oh no, now it doesn't. No, I was going to contradict myself immediately. Now it doesn't have the ability to be 5 because 6, 7 would require us to put 7 in here. So this has to be 4, this has to be 5, this has to be 6, that has to be 6, and we are, now we can see, look, we've got 6s working nicely. We've got a 3, 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, that all gets fixed. Now, oh yeah, now this 2 has to be in one of those 2 squares, which makes this a 3, that's a 2. That's a 2 just by Sudoku. In fact, now we should be able to write 4 into the top of the grid, which at the same time allows us to write 5 into this square. 1, 3, 6. We've got 2s, 4s and 5s into the blues. So let's see if we can do anything with that. We can get rid of 4, 2, 4, 5. Don't know if we can do better than that. Well, I'm sure we can. I just can't see how to do it. So bear with me while I try and find something else to look at. Right, this has got to be 3 and 5. Well, there's a 3 here, so that's quite useful. So 3 goes here, 5 goes here. This becomes 2, 4, that becomes 5. Now let's think about 2s maybe. Yes, 2 has to go here, 2 has to go here. Now those 2 squares are a 1, 4 pair, which somehow I can't resolve. Oh yes, I can, goodness. Why do I look over here when there's a 4 there? The mysteries of my brain, good grief. That's a 1, that's a 1. I think we've done all the complexity now. Hopefully I won't be hoisted by my own petard for saying that, but it does feel like all of a sudden we're almost there, doesn't it? Now this has got to be 8 or 9 to complete the row. This has got to be 7 or 8 to complete that row. We need a 6 in one of these 2 digits, which is not resolved. Those squares are now known to be what? 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5. That's not 2, that's not 4. So we've got a 2, 5 pair now in this row, which means that square can be written in. That's a 3. Yeah, okay, that's not actually done anything. We've got a 4, 5 pair in this row, so we need 6s and 7s, which again doesn't seem to be resolved. I'm getting slightly concerned now. Now this has got to be 5, 8, 9. I can place the 5. This is an 8, 9 pair. Remove the 5 from these squares. Oh, I've just noticed I've got... Sorry, I can see how I'm going to be able to resolve this now. I just couldn't see that thermo because of the blueness. The blueness defeated me, but now I can see it. And that's a 4, that's a 5, and that's a 2, and therefore that's going to disambiguate the left side of the grid. Good lord. Okay, so have we finished now? Oh, we've got an 8, 9 pair in column 6. That must be powerful. Therefore we need 6s and 7s. Well, there's a 7 here. So that's going to be 7, 8, 6. We need a 6 in this column. This 8's probably powerful now. We still need to put 4 into this row. Good grief, that's been available for a while, I think. And this is, what's this? This is 7, 8 or 9, but it sees 8, so the 8 must go here. This is now 7 or 9, and it sees 7, so those all get fixed, which is exactly what we'd hoped for. Now that's a 9, that's an 8, that's a 9, that's an 8, that's a 7, that's a 9, and that is a beautiful puzzle. That really is. It's not difficult at all, but it is elegance personified. I mean, that's just, it's such a pleasure to solve a puzzle that is constructed as tightly and cleverly as that. It's not that hard, but it's just a lot of fun. And it makes you sort of shake your head with admiration for Joseph. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.